Where in the Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Where in the Folk. See that everybody was wondering where we was at. We was only 2 minutes late. Get over it.
We were ranting. We were going crazy.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope everybody had a great week. It's been a stressful week for a lot of people. And my stress was highly induced this morning.
Tell us about it, Cecil.
Needlessly, by the way. And I'm going to start calling this little thing fast food corner or something like that because it happens so friggin' often. So I went to McDonald's this morning at 170 West Daniel Boone Parkway, London, Kentucky. I seen two cars at the window. Now I boycotted this McDonald's for almost a year. And I seen two cars at the window. It was early. And I was like, you know what? It probably won't take that long. So I pull in and somebody pulls in from me. I'm like, no big deal. 4 cars. They can handle that. No issue whatsoever. So the car orders and they pull forward and I pull up to the little box and I wait 5 minutes for somebody to go, can I take an order? Now, when you think of McDonald's breakfast, what is the number one staple that you can think of right off the top of your head?
Like a sausage
Hash
biscuit.
brown. Yeah.
Sausage biscuit.
Yeah.
I get one with a little flavor. I'd say throw some cheese on that damn thing, you know? I get a sausage and biscuit with cheese and a large Sprite. Okay. So, of course, I round up for the youngins. So it's like $4 or something. I can't remember off the top of the head. So I pull to the window and she says, all right, that'd be $3.12. And I said, no, that's not right. It was $4 back there. Oh, yeah. It's $10.15. I said, no. It was $4 back there. And she goes, oh, I meant $7.11. And I said, I got a sausage and biscuit with cheese and a Sprite. She went, oh, $4. I said, okay, good deal. Right. So I pull up to the next window to get my food. And first thing they say is, what did you have? I said, oh, a sausage and biscuit with cheese and a Sprite, large Sprite. They reached me a large Sprite and said, do you care to pull over there? And first thing I thought was pull over for a sausage and biscuit and cheese. Okay. You know, there was 4 cars here. Maybe they got busy all of a sudden at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I pull over. I wait about 10 minutes and a girl brings out a bag full of hash browns. I said, hey, this isn't mine. She goes, oh, what did you have? I said, sausage, biscuit, and cheese. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. Then she goes back. And when she went back, she came back 3 separate times with no bag in a 4-minute window. What did you have? Sausage and biscuit with cheese, you know, every time. Well, she comes back with another bag that had 3 biscuits in it. And I said, this isn't mine. And she says, what did you have? I said, of course, I had a sausage and biscuit and cheese. All right. So this is, and then she repeats it to me and she goes, so you had a sausage, egg, and cheese? I said, no. A sausage.
That would have been an upgrade, though.
I said, sausage, biscuit with cheese. She said, okay, sausage and egg. I said, no. Sausage, biscuit with cheese. So she goes back and I wait another 10 minutes. And when she brings another bag to me, she brings 2 breakfast burritos. And I said, this isn't mine either. She said, it isn't? And I said, no, I had a fucking sausage biscuit. And then before she walks off, she turns around and says, what did you have again? A sausage biscuit with cheese. All right. So about 2 minutes later, she finally brings me a bag with 1 biscuit. Now I just open it up and I'm so pissed because I'm already late for my appointment. I'm like, all right, there's one thing in this bag. Can't be wrong. Hit the interstate. Open it up. It was a McMuffin with nothing but cheese on it. So I started to beat the hell out of my steering wheel, and I disgusted McMuffin with only cheese. And again, that's at 170 West Daniel Boone Parkway, London, Kentucky.
So that's what I have to do to get a McMuffin with just cheese.
Dude, it was the worst experience of my life. I was like, what is happening right now? What is going on?
At least they're consistent, though. It sounds like they mess everything up.
And usually, I get mad because there's not sauce in the bag. That's my number one thing. And normally things like this, one or two mess ups, I'm like, whatever, it's a hard job. I've done it before. The fourth time, you're being a little ridiculous. Like, a little bit. My wife tried to make me feel bad. She's like, you never know, they may have been special needs. I've been to a restaurant where they employ special needs and they get the order right every single time. The first time. I've never had much madness in my life. It made me so mad. Ooh.
Well, that was one Friday feel good.
I'm sorry. See, nothing's more frustrating than starting out the morning with no caffeine and screwed up food.
Yeah.
Landa, I saw your comment. Yeah, they're trying to get people, content creators, because it's very politically heavy. So, we're kind of frontiers people in that regard. What's your question, Nick?
Nobody cares about your question, Nick.
Oh, I bet that's true. I bet that's true.
Ew. Ew. Nick, yeah.
I know it's going to be, what did you order? I know it. I know him so well.
Wow.
Well, Morgana, I know you got another Friday feel good.
I do have a Friday feel good. Well, it may not feel good for everybody, but I feel like it's good. All right. So if you find yourself alone this Valentine's Day, I have a gift for you. It's knowledge that it could always be worse, like really worse. So 17-year-old man presented to the ER with abdominal pain and a foreign body in his anus. He told the doctors he had inserted a pencil into his rectum and then had anal sex with the pencil still in there. He was treated and released. Okay, this man's case is one of nearly 450 sex injuries found over a 6-year period with the National Electronic Injury Surveillance System, which is compiled by the Federal Consumer Product Safety Commission. The ER doctor, or one of the ER doctors, says the thing is, it's not nearly as uncommon to see this as you'd think, and don't just assume because it'll fit that you should insert it. Right. So he said, it's not uncommon, but it is not a daily occurrence. They had a woman that came in with a head injury and a fractured cervical spine who basically ended up going forward into a headboard. She was busy at the time and was on top of this guy lurching forward into the headboard. Said in another sex injury case in the database, a 62-year-old man sustained a penile crushing injury after putting homemade PVC pipe rings and the ring off of a horse halter around himself. He was treated and released. Most of the injuries that they get are involving foreign objects that are used for pleasure, but were not created for pleasure. They make them, people buy the real thing. At least you stand a chance. So, they do have, go ahead.
I've been wondering where my cell phone is all day.
There you go. Well, and they said, they do get people that come up with vibrators and other sex toys, including spiky rubber balls that light up. But in those, they're like, okay, but then you come in, there's somebody's got a screwdriver or the handle of a toilet plunger or a pool ball. So, and then what's really bad is a lot of times these patients wait several days before going to the ER, hoping that they can fix it themselves. They actually see more people for that than for just having injuries, because you're not going to fix it if you can't get it like almost immediately.
My thing is, are these people magicians that's like trained? They might be like magicians.
Well, I don't know. They said that other injuries in the database include sprains and fractures, concussions, lacerations, conditions like syncope, in which the blood pressure drops rapidly and the person loses consciousness, and we can imagine. Thankfully, none of these injuries were fatal, and most of the patients are treated and sent home. But, it doesn't matter how embarrassed you are. Don't wait. Just go on. Admit. Did you ever watch Big Bang Theory?
A little bit.
Okay. At one point, this one character, Wallowitz, made a Mars rover robot, and he didn't have a girlfriend, so he decided he'd, let the robot do the work, and it went dead while wrapped around him. And when his buddies got him and this big metal contraption to the ER, the nurse came out and says, "Well, did you reboot?" He's like, "No, are you kidding?" She just hit the power button. It goes off and lets him go. So, yeah. And, the doctor did say we always have respect and privacy, and we never pass judgment. That is bullshit. You're going to be the talk of the ER for the next 10 years.
Of course.
It's better than having it cut off because of sepsis. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my Friday feel good.
If that happens to you, just go to a hospital out of town. There you go.
There you go.
That's a good call. Good call.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to have a registered nurse that you feel like you can trust with this information in your life, maybe go for it.
Preferably with small hands.
There you go. Right. There you go. All right. Now, I think Tully has a Friday feel good about salami.
Yeah. Feel good. I'll keep it short and sweet. So the headline is there was 3 dead as a helicopter crashed into the grounds of a medieval castle. That obviously isn't a feel good. And this isn't really a feel good either, but the helicopter killed the Salami Fortune heir. The Salami. And he was among 3 people killed. He was the CEO of Rovignati Cured Meats Empire. He was only 42 years old. And yeah, that was they're saying it was poor visibility due to fog and darkness. But there's been a lot of helicopter crashes and plane crashes. At least it's been televised lately.
Did you see that a plane disappeared in Nome, Alaska today?
Oh yeah. Albeit I didn't throw anything in here about it.
No, I just thought about it. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, you're fine. The only update I had on last week's crash between the Black Hawk and U.S. Airlines, Landis said they found it.
Okay.
Apparently, air traffic control told the Black Hawk pilot to return to base and land immediately multiple times with zero response. The pilot decided to go above the ceiling that they were supposed to and apparently directed the helicopter directly into the airplane. The other update was the airport workers that leaked the initial videos were arrested.
What? Why?
I mean, I can find the greater article, but there was a headline this week that they were arrested for leaking the video. I guess it was military related.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I can see that if it's military related, but everything about that seems so fishy. Like,
yeah,
they came out a couple of weeks before that, like, oh, we can remote control Blackhawks. Surprise!
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden this happens with. I haven't looked a lot into it.
There's weird stuff with the pilot's dad, apparently, connections.
Yeah.
like we usually see in
Yeah.
situations like this. But yeah, it was the fact that they scrubbed the pilot's social media too was very suspicious, and that's factual.
Yeah.
I know. Nobody's gonna know.
Yeah. No, I mean they'll never know. It's similar to. I think I've heard this actually. I remember, but the helicopter thing, like, the first video I seen might have been one that was actually released by them, because it was like a direct view of the plane coming down and the helicopter going like this, and it's just, it looked like it was beeline, like bam, like perfectly timed.
You can see it elevating in the other video. Like you can see it actually elevating toward the plane.
That's nuts. Like, and what sucks about it is, the loss of life, of course. And if you're in the realm of conspiracy and feel like they do these things as red flags, they're not above taking out a mass amount of individuals.
No. And, I think that was around the same time all of this stuff with, all of the lost taxpayer money toward all of these crazy things started coming out. And it's, I think a lot of it's rage bait, even though it's true, that they were paying, I think they were paying people crazy amounts of money to take pictures with like foreign leaders. And
well, I mean, that $24 million for the gas station in Afghanistan in the middle of the desert that nobody goes to was really worth it.
Well, I just want to say I saw where they were giving like $8 million to news companies to publish whatever news they want.
Yeah,
we are open for business. If anybody sees this, if you want to pay us $8 million, we will preach that, whatever you want us to.
Push us in the algorithm and give us $8 million and send us scripts.
yeah, send us scripts. I'll put it behind the screen.
I'll buy a teleprompter. They're only $800. I'll put it right here.
Yep. Well, I saw one of those little bars that does like the clipper across the bottom of your screen that you can put on top of your screen. That would work.
I don't honestly know what we could say that would even make people think that we're crazy. Or you know what I mean? Like what can we possibly talk about that would be crazy?
Trust your government, guys. Trust your government.
There you go. That's it. What's really sad is the stuff that we talk about is probably more sane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For $8 million, we'll get on here and tell everybody every week that the government is the greatest, and taxes are awesome.
Yes. Yep.
I'll do it.
Taxes
for 2.
go for good stuff.
We can do it for 2. Just
we can't do it for 2. If they're paying 8, we're getting 8.
That's true. Go the way you want to go, because if we go low, then they'll expect us to make that amount every time.
Yeah.
Then we want 10. Let's open negotiations.
Okay. There you go.
At least 9, because it's 3 apiece.
That's right. There you go.
Well, another bombshell this week is that so they tested Girl Scout cookies because it's Girl Scout season. I've seen these little demons out in the parking lots.
Didn't they find like mercury or something, some kind of crazy metal in it or some shit?
Every single cookie tested positive for the chemical commonly found in Roundup.
Yes.
Glyphosate.
The thing that no other developed nation in the world allows in their country, and report on everything.
Yeah, I can't go to the store right now without hearing, "Want some cookies?"
Well, Nick in the comments there is actually a really good baker. He's a good cook in general, but really good at baking. How often do you use that, Nick? I'm wondering what makes that cheesecake so good, buddy.
Yeah. So a commission investigation found that the tested cookie samples contained toxic metals and glyphosate, and some of the toxic metals exceeded EPA water safety limits. I'm not going to get into the specifics. You can look up the article as far as the parts per million and stuff. But the skinny of it is, whenever they confronted the Girl Scout people of America, their official statement was that their cookies are made in facilities that adhere to FDA guidelines. And when I saw that was their official statement, not that, hey, we're sorry that Roundup ended up in your cookies that you're eating, or we're going to stop selling them until we figure this out. There are still boots on the ground zombies trying to sell you cookies.
That's because they collect $800 million a year in revenue.
22 out of 25 tested positive for aluminum, arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah. So the fact that they have more heavy metals than even the EPA water standards, now that's saying something, because the water standards aren't that great.
Yeah.
But it says a lot, like you said, about the money. It says a lot that they came out and they're just like, well, we don't know, we don't care. We're adhering by FDA standards. We know how great that's been.
People.
Yeah.
Do better, people.
Yeah.
I mean, just because your line is like, dog turd, doesn't mean you can't lift your foot a little bit higher.
Yes. But yeah, that was.
I'm personally offended, by the fact that you pay, $4 for 12 cookies, yes, but then you're going to pay that for poison.
Yes, that's the real kicker here. Like, going back to the FDA for a second, we talked about the red food coloring. Mm-hmm. Everybody thought that was a big win, that the red dye was going to be removed from the food. They got until 2027 to do it. And
it's only red dye number 3. That's not the 18 other reds that they use.
Yes, Nick. And that's a whole other situation.
Yeah.
Poison is expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is. That was my biggest thing with that show, Snowpiercer. I know all about the amounts of bug parts and all that. My dad was a big what are they, documentary person. He rarely ever watched television, but if you put something on, I didn't eat cheese for 2 years as a teenager because he got me to sit down with him and watch cheese under a microscope and stuff. Ugh. Well, he got me to watch one about the FDA and what they allowed in chocolate and stuff like that. And then I saw the movie Snowpiercer. And yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
Well, we definitely can't get off the show without mentioning how resilient, and we usually don't get into or name political people, but I just wanted to talk about how resilient Mitch McConnell is.
Oh my God.
So he fell twice this week and left the Capitol in a wheelchair. He was escorted out on Wednesday as a precautionary measure. It says that the longtime leader, who is 82, super fit to be a leader in the country, by the way. Yeah. A survivor of childhood polio. I don't know if that's a good thing. But he's fine, though. The official spokesperson for McConnell said that the lingering effects of polio in his left leg will not disrupt his regular schedule of work. So in the past 6 months, he's like fell down 2 flights of stairs, glitched out on television twice or 3 times, where he's just like black-eyed, staring into the camera like a alien.
An alien turtle instead of a regular one.
Yes. And everybody's just like, it's fine, it's okay. We're used to 80-year-olds.
What's the polio vaccine? The polio vaccine was invented in like 1952. If my dad was still alive, he'd be 71, 72. I don't think I would want him to be in Congress when he passed away. Like, I feel like he was too old at that point.
Well, yeah, I think about my wife's grandmother. She's the same age as Mitch McConnell, and she cannot understand concepts on the same level as younger generations. Like, it's like trying to explain to an alien what a phone is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why.
My personal belief is that I'm getting ready to be too old to be a politician if it ever was to be a thing. You know what I mean? So definitely at 80-something years old.
You still
Well-
understand what collects data, what connects to Wi-Fi, like these basic concepts that an 80-year-old most 80-year-olds can't grasp.
Right. And we've talked about this before. 8 years is plenty. There should be no such thing as a career politician.
Correct.
It should be such a hard job you don't want to do it more than 8 years.
Public servant should not be a career path in that regard.
That's right.
I mean, if you want to volunteer or like work for a nonprofit, that's different.
Absolutely. But the thing is, we have a retirement age for regular life, and regular life is not nearly as stressful as what making decisions that will affect hundreds of millions of people. Give them a cutoff age. They have to be 35 to serve. Make it be 65 and they're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say if you get elected at 64 and a half, okay, let them serve that out. But you cannot even run for office after you hit 65.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
I agree with that. If you're too old to have a job, you're too old to be running the free world.
Yep. Absolutely. And I've said this before too. I feel like, we ought to just fire all of them and get some younger blood in there. Mm-hmm. You guys are not represented in Congress. Just not.
No.
I mean,
no.
I am barely.
Yeah, I would say, I would argue that you're not either.
Right?
Well, so, I'm the same age as the new vice president, so I guess that works.
You're such a better person, though.
They don't have nothing to do with Congress, though. Like
yeah.
Congress they make a lot of decisions that, well, as you see, they make a lot of decisions that negatively impact us.
All of us, right? Exactly.
Another update I had this week, though, was on that. Do you remember the Israeli cult that we were talking about in South America?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a weird offshoot of Judaism, like some kind of like extremist movement. And I think even Israel has came out and been like, these are crazy extremist people.
Right. We don't want them.
Yeah. So Interpol arrested one of them, Yoel Alter, age 35, but he was a senior member of the Lev Tahor cult. It's in Guatemala. And they're saying that his charges were related to human trafficking at least 148 children.
Wow.
Where they were being held separated from their parents and suspected of severe abuse. He's suspected of raping the children and also child pornography. But I'm sure like there's if you try to look this up, this never hit mainstream United States news.
Of course.
Because it was Interpol that made the arrest. But they're saying that the actual, like if you look up the articles around the world, they're saying that it could be in the thousands of people that were trafficked.
That's
so huge human trafficking ring.
I have a solution for these people.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get us kicked off the air, but
well, I think the second word in the headline is what keeps it out of American headlines. Mm-hmm. Is all I can say about that.
No.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Nick's wanting us to cover this, and we do what the audience wants, I guess.
Yep.
Have you guys watched the city council meeting from London, Kentucky this week?
No.
No.
Tell me all about it.
This all stems from like ever since Doug Harless was killed, the city council meetings have been getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. So let me share just a little snip because this isn't all of it. If you want to watch it, just Google it. But this is a little bit, and this is pretty much showing corruption. This guy right here is getting ready to play a recording of him talking to a city council member, directing him on how to bash the mayor.
I can't hear anything, Cecil.
Oh, that's probably because I don't have the sound on. But it's nuts. It's getting really crazy. And I really want to start going to these city council meetings. Like really bad.
You should.
You record.
It'd be so fun.
Abruptly. 10 News reporter Avery Gingerich joining us now with a call for police accountability and a phone call adding a new twist in this case. Avery?
That's exactly right, John. Community members filled the council meeting room. You could feel the tension. There aren't any easy answers to the death of Doug Harless. That's when a phone conversation.
Now, full disclosure, I don't know what news channel this is. I don't think this is in our actual area. It might be.
That's fine.
London neighbor James Jones accused most of the London City Council of a conspiracy on Monday night.
The only reason why that Anthony Ortega and Kelly and Judd and Justin and Stacy all agreed to let me speak today is because they thought I was going to stand here and bash the mayor of London.
Activists have been pushing London's leaders for accountability after police officers killed Doug Harless in December. They misidentified Harless's home for another down the street that they had a search warrant for. London's leaders say Harless raised a gun at officers, forcing them to respond.
That we know by law, by statute, that the city police have jurisdiction.
Hey, Jason, you're asking them to make some type of legal conclusion or legal.
This city council meeting is the latest event to stir up tense emotions over Harless's death.
They definitely had an agenda tonight, and it was to not focus on the real problem.
Jamie Burns knows Harless's daughter and has been looking for answers. She planned to speak at the end of the meeting.
The million-dollar question is this.
The allegation that council members had been
Randall Weddle before he ran for mayor.
A shouting match led to a rushed end without public comment. I reached out.
Wow.
It's getting crazy.
Bunch of goofballs. There really does need to be a third party that comes in and is like
a mediator.
Yeah.
They removed a couple people from that meeting. Like they just.
But nothing's gonna change unless somebody above the law comes. Like that lawyer, like somebody that can actually legally and lawfully fight it.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll have another mug shot.
We had a congressman back several years ago. He finally got voted out of office, about 2 years ago. But he would not have town meetings because he didn't want people to be able to ask him difficult questions. And I think he tried it a couple of times, and they'd ask him things he didn't want to answer, and he would just shut up. And then it would get like that. They'd start yelling and screaming, and then he'd yell back. So he finally just quit having them. Yeah. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
Well, I mean, at this point, everybody should be removed.
Yeah.
Mayor, cancel everybody.
Yeah.
I personally.
Yeah. There's gross negligence.
It happened. It happened in Clay County. We had friends whose dads went to prison and stuff, and it was a complete reckoning. It was a rebuilding from the bottom up. And I mean, for the most part, it seems like it did better over there, except it's riddled with meth. But
I mean, it kind of took back a hold after a time.
Yeah.
Well, about 25 years ago, Iceland fired all of their politicians, all of their bank presidents, tried them and put them in prison, and reelected all new people.
My whole thing about it. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
My whole thing about it is a few years back. This is the first thing that really made me mad. Which I don't pay city taxes. I don't live in the city. The city's like 6 miles up the road. They paid $85,000 for a Christmas tree they put in town that makes these little scenes and stuff. And I was like, I wonder how much that tree really cost. And I looked it up. It's $25,000. And I was like, I wonder where the other $50,000 went. Well, they said it was for maintenance of the tree. So the maintenance for this tree is more than double what the tree costs. Why in the hell would you buy that tree? Doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's getting to a point where all of the disruption around the world right now is causing people to be skeptical of their local governments, their state governments, not believing anything you see on TV because we just found out they're all getting paid.
I mean, you really can't. And, you know, that's one of the biggest debates I have with a lot of people in my life is don't blindly believe every flipping thing you see and read.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care who says it. There is not one person that I consider in political environs that is honest either side. I'm not talking sides here. I'm talking about they are all making money and trying to keep us all pissed off at each other so they can do whatever they want.
On maybe a little bit lighter subject, this one's for Alanda. I've been meaning to get to this one, but Texas officials have warned of a man-eating screwworm that burrows into open wounds, eyes, and mouth to lay eggs. So the new year's kicking off fresh. With a warning for those who work with animals in Texas, the state's Park and Wildlife Department is asking hunters and outdoor enthusiasts to watch out for animals that may be impacted by these man-eater parasites. They come from so the parasites come from flies that lay eggs in open wounds, nostrils, eyes, and mouths. It was issued right at the beginning of the year for everybody in South Texas after a New World screwworm was recently found in a cow in Chiapas, Mexico. According to Texas Parks and Wildlife, the screwworm has been making its way further north. As a protective measure, animal health officials ask those along southern Texas to monitor livestock for clinical signs of the screwworms and immediately report the cases. But yeah, that's a bad deal. Just because you think, you can't monitor every wild animal. Like they're going to go where they're going to go.
Well, I did read earlier this week that they said that by the end of the next century, that we will have lost over 1/3 of the parasites in our world. And I'm not seeing how that's a bad thing. There you go, Landa.
Yeah, well, they say that these one of these flies can lay up to 300 eggs at a time and 3,000 eggs during the fly's lifetime that turn into these screwworms.
Don't flies only live like 48 hours? That's what
Yeah. So they said we're going to lose. They said we're going to lose 2/3 or 1/3 of the parasites in the world.
1/3, and they could put this one in that batch.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly content with losing the worm cockroaches. Ew. Oh, and there's a new fungus out there that is making zombie spiders.
Okay, so we've moved on. They're getting bigger. It went from ants to spiders.
Yes. Yep. I heard that on the way to work this morning.
Well, only another 40 years probably until it moves to an animal.
Yeah. Yes. Fungus-infected zombie spiders found in Irish caves 4 days ago. They're venomous, invasive species, and they're starting to spread up the U.S. East Coast. And I don't want zombie spiders. I freak out over regular spiders.
Same.
Yeah.
I hate spiders.
Yes. Yeah.
Spiders don't bother me much, and I think spiders, for the most part, unless they're zombie spiders, are very, very needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Does anybody have a short story for the next few minutes?
No.
I could play a video on China's cloud seeding program if you wanted to.
That'd be fun. I mean, the cloud seeding is getting crazy. Like, as I showed on the show, when that last snow came, that wasn't snow. Like, I don't know what that was. That was some kind of crazy plastic. It didn't feel like snow. It didn't melt like snow. It was weird. And I feel like it's strictly from them doing these things to try to curve our atmosphere. But now there's a comet flying through there that they say is going to bring on a global winter for 3 years, potentially.
Nice.
So So you know that the global warming might be fixed by otherworldly body.
Well, it was global cooling in I think the 60s and 70s. So that's why they're talking about it again.
Well, it went to global cooling, the global warming, then back to climate change, and now it's going back to global cooling. It seems like so. We'll see.
So China is pulling their cloud seeders around with vehicles.
Sweet.
So what you're seeing in this video is a video of government officials in China in the act of cloud seeding, which is when they shoot silver iodide into the atmosphere into clouds, because what it does is it forms ice crystals, which then melt and turn into rain. So they're doing this because they've been suffering from severe droughts all over China, especially along the Yangtze River, which is one of the biggest rivers that flows through China that's been drying up all over the place, which is going to impact, millions and millions and millions of human beings. So in an effort to combat this massive amount of drought that they've been suffering from for a while, they're trying to seed clouds. Now, cloud seeding has been something that's been in place around the world since like the 1940s, but recently China's got one of the biggest cloud seeding programs on the earth. According to China's state council, the country is committed to bringing about 5.5 million square kilometers of its land under its weather modification program by 2025. And largely one of the biggest processes that they're going to be doing with that is cloud seeding. Now, cloud seeding is referred to as geoengineering, which is basically just saying like manipulating the earth. And currently there's no conventions or formal agreements that say you can't. So some people think this could be used militarily eventually. I don't know.
No shit. So I mean 6 years, if you have a short-term memory, 6 years ago when we would talk about cloud seeding and tell our friends, they're manipulating the weather, everybody's like, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. Now it's out in the open that they do it constantly. But whenever we have strange changes in weather pattern, or the desert gets flooded when they've been cloud seeding the 3 days before it got flooded, it's still just a crazy conspiracy theory.
It's because you're not recycling. yeah. It's that's just bizarre, dude. I don't know. We looked on our weather modification episode. We looked at the effects of silver iodide too, and if they're ramping that up, I mean, there's all kinds of negative effects of silver iodide.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure is. I mean, it's poison.
Yeah. But
they tell you though that it won't hurt anything.
Yeah, it's like the makeup thing. It's like they take the red dye out of the makeup because it causes cancer, but it's fine for food.
It just pisses me off so bad that now they talk about it like it was nothing. Like, it was nothing.
We've always done that. Yeah. What are you talking about?
But whenever Dubai is hit by what looks like a storm out of the Bible, and they're like, that's because of climate change. It ain't because we was, trying to make it rain the last 3 days before that happened. Like,
I mean, it is true. It's just that they're the ones changing it.
Yeah. And, climate change happens too. And I don't like pollution. Do what you can to clean up pollution. But climate change has happened all throughout history. No matter what you talk, the fucking Sahara Desert was a Greenland. It was a forest at one time. And that was way before we were driving cars around. That turned into a desert. And if you believe Deo, it's because of the comment, which I kind of believe that.
That
honestly.
was crazy. Yeah.
I actually believe that quite a bit because you can see where it looked like runoff. But I mean, things like that happen, and for them to be like, we're going to start taxing you for driving gas cars extra, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they're wanting us to push us in these fucking 10-minute cities. It's getting ridiculous. That's what Los Angeles is going to be now.
Well, we were pushed into the gas. Like we were pushed into all of this, and now we're getting beat back for it.
That's back in the early days of automobiles, they actually more cars ran off of water and hydrogen and steam than gas.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget there was a man that had a car that could run hundreds of miles on a gallon of water out of the creek anywhere. And for some reason, when he drank his raspberry sweet tea at the Cracker Barrel, he died. So it's kind of strange how that occurs, but everybody still wants. There's still a bunch of people in this world that's like, oh, they just don't do things like that. Oh, that don't make sense. Why would they do that?
Well,
You know, one of these days I'm going to get to that video where Kenneth Copeland says he talked to God. I'll wait another day to break it out.
But anyway,
yep.
what are you guys covering in Non-Weird Awakenings?
Strange death cults.
You should come on.
I might pop on. Just
You ain't
to
got
listen.
nothing better to do.
I got to use the bathroom. But
You got time. That's in 15 minutes on the Weird Realities Network. Weird with a Y.
Mandy is watching SmackDown at 8, so I might pop on there because there's been so much wrestling going on in this house.
Just remember, go to the ER if you need to.
And thank you, Landa, for following us on Rumble. If anyone listening doesn't already follow us on Rumble, head over there, give us a follow. That's where we're putting our archive of videos. It's where our library is and where you can listen. And I want to thank Easy. I'm sure you're listening after the fact, but he gave us some good guest ideas that I'm going to reach out to.
Awesome, Easy. Thank you. And, it's the time that we question everything more than ever. And when it comes election time, remember what people are actually doing. And when you go into the booth, even
not about party, but about what they actually did.
Yeah,
that's right.
And
there you go.
And so tune in to Weird Awakenings, and I can't see the clock, but at 8.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
There you go. 12 minutes.
And thank you for watching us, because we are watching you.